Welcome to something special. Welcome to TEDx. This TEDx event is part of a global conversation that takes place every day in every corner of the world. In schools, in theaters, in workplaces, even in prisons, people gather to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. More than 3,000 TEDx events are held every year in 170 countries. It's a remarkable thing. TEDx events are self-organized under a license from TED, a non-profit organization devoted to discovering and sharing powerful ideas in the form of TED Talks. It's not TED itself, but your local TEDx team of volunteers that has done all the work to put on today's event, including booking all of the speakers. It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible. We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show.
What if I tell you that your most challenging moments in life were actually your greatest opportunities to learn and grow as a person? What if I said that these hard times, steeped in pain and adversity, in fact, held the greatest potential to transform your life to the better and to bring you closer to your dreams and ambitions? Very warm good morning to everyone. I'm Raghunath Cappo, along with my partner Ashish Kumar, will be today's host of TEDxGECA. We welcome you all to our mega event. Special thanks to the PD Club head, Mr. Satyajit Khote and Mr. Abhishek Chavle for taking the initiative of TEDxGECA event. Well, I don't want to take much of your time. Today will be fun and full of learning. So let's call our very first speaker, Mr. Graham Shelton. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. Can it be true? I have the same dilemma as you. To justify this quote, we have the founder and chairman of the Oxford Pharmagenesis, who will be sharing his life story and how he converted his adversity to prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a massive round of applause to Mr. Graham Shelton.
What a pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much for inviting me. I want to start straight off with a question. Who do you think was your best teacher? Was it your teacher at school? Was it your parents, perhaps? Or a really good, inspiring lecturer? I have to tell you that when I thought about who my best teacher was, I realized it was none of those, but it was actually the bad stuff and the good stuff that's happened in my life, especially the bad stuff. And that adversity that we all face, but we very rarely talk about, because these days we like to talk about a kind of airbrushed social media life, which is not really quite accurate. I would say that it's the bad stuff that's got me to where I am and given me a lot of happiness, albeit some scares along the way. So today, I thought we might play a little game of snakes and ladders, and I could tell you a little bit about my story. It all started 71 years ago when I was born, and I started by throwing a six because I was very fortunate to be born into a nice family, very supportive family, who helped me to get a good start in life. And so that definitely got me on the beginning of the game of snakes and ladders, off to a good start. The first snake only arrived at the age of 10 when in the UK you have to sit an exam called the 11+. And I was young, so I started doing it at the age of 10. But I failed. And so this was my first experience of a snake. And it wasn't a good experience because it meant I couldn't go to the best school. I had to go to a different school. And I really could have at that point gone off the rails and not achieved any academic or business standing. But I worked hard at school, and I'm pleased to say that I ended up passing the exams that got me into university. I got a scholarship to go to St Andrews University in Scotland, where I studied zoology. So that's how it was that we can start thinking about climbing up the ladders again. And so I had a happy time at university studying zoology, and at the end of my time there, I didn't get a first, I got a 2-1, but it was enough for me to be allowed to stay on and do a PhD in the Gatty Marine Laboratory in Scotland. 3 more happy years, I might say. I was studying marine invertebrates and published a number of papers. And at the end of that time, I thought, well, I'm going to have to get a job. However am I going to get a job? And by good fortune and a great deal of luck, I ended up teaching zoology in Oxford, at the University of Oxford. And the only fly in the ointment and the thing that petrified me to death, and even now I sometimes have dreams about it, was having to teach a subject about which I knew virtually nothing. And on the first day that I arrived in the zoology department, I had a heavy dose of imposter syndrome, thinking they're going to find out I'm no good, and whatever am I going to do then? But this job lasted for 6 years, and they never did find out that I didn't really know very much about it. I knew enough clearly to pass muster. However, it wasn't a tenured post, and anyone who's been in an academic world will know that a tenured post is what you need if you plan to stay employed for the rest of your life. And so I suddenly hit another snake, and this was quite a serious snake. So I found myself at the top of a snake and thinking, I'm going to have to get another job. Whatever am I going to do now? And so it was that I embarked on a completely new career, which I hadn't intended to do, a publishing career in Oxford, initially as an editor, then as a writer, and then eventually founding my own company. And that went on just fine for about 10 years until my business partner and I fell out comprehensively. And that company fell to bits, and I found myself out of a job again. I thought, I've got to go in a new direction. It was only after coming to terms with that and actually having some support from some very nice old clients who said, come on, Graham, we need you to do this stuff. And that's how it was that I started a new company, Oxford Pharmagenesis, the company of which I'm now very proud to be the chairman. 400 people, 3 continents, and beginning to make a difference in the world of medical education. So when I look back over my life and I see where the opportunity was, it was where those snakes were. It was where the adversity was. And actually what I say to you is, it's horrible when bad stuff happens, but look on it as an opportunity. And I know you will, because you were the ones who came up with this title, Opportunity and Adversity. And I have to say, it's a pleasure for me to be here today. But what I would leave you with is the thought that you're the inspirational ones. You're my inspiration. I'm sure that you're going to have very successful careers. So thank you very much.
That was an amazing insight shared by Graham sir. Now, our next speaker is Mr. Raghunath Cappo. He was a hardcore singer-songwriter icon touring the globe in his teens. In a decadent music scene infested with hard drugs, negativity, and intoxication, he was an anomaly. He was fascinated with Eastern thought and took inspiration from the likes of Emerson and Gandhi. The pettiness of the music business and the untimely death of his father led him to India on a spiritual quest in 1988. Now, more than 30 years later, he's an accomplished yogi, a storyteller, and an international spiritual coach. He is considered a teacher's teacher and maintains a retreat center in upstate New York.
I was a punk rock, hardcore, straight edge yogi on the Lower East Side of New York City in the mid-'80s. And I had one burning question that maybe you can relate to. How do you find happiness? How do you find lasting happiness in a temporary world? In a world that has adversity, that has loss, that has sinkholes, where an anvil falls on your head, how can I find happiness there with heartbreak? Loss, chronic sickness, loss of a loved one. I was in a band. I'm going to tell you my story. I was in a band that believed in good things. We didn't drink, we didn't smoke, we were into animal rights, we were into controlling our senses and our mind. But it was loud, raucous music. And what happened was, at the height of my band's career, I witnessed my father fall into a coma. My father, who is my rock, who is the pillar in my life, went to this place of unbeing. Is he alive or is he dead? And that lasted 3 years. The world can really throw you off track with the temporalityness of it, with the sand castles that we build that just sort of melt away. How can I find lasting happiness in a temporary world? Well, you might say there's success also. Let me share something about success, and a lot of you guys may know this already from the workplace. I experienced great success. I had tens of thousands of followers. Not huge, but something. But I found that success can also shake you off your path. Matter of fact, it's not just loss, heartbreak, etc. That is the adversity to our peaceful life. Good fortune can also ruin people's lives as well. I found these things I struggled with that kept me peaceful were exacerbated by good fortune. I know things became competitive, narcissistic, greedy, lusty, angry. All of these things became heightened and thus less happy. How could I find some lasting happiness in a temporary world? And this was the force, the current that drove me at 22 in 1988 to search for peace, truth, happiness, love, and light, and head off to India with a one-way ticket, where I became a monk for 6.5 years, living in ashram with that perpetual question. Now, when I lived with the monks, it was very, very interesting, because what do monks have? They got nothing. And I'm a New Yorker, and I was in a band, and I had a little bit of an ego, and I had some money saved. Not tons of money, not millions of dollars, but I had about $25,000 saved. And because I was a New Yorker, I was also a little cynical and distrusting of people. Matter of fact, when I went to India, instead of being open-hearted, filled with love, filled with joy, what was going through my mind was, which one of these gurus is going to try to take my money? But when I saw how the monks lived, something changed inside me. They were sleeping on the floor. They were taking these cold showers, in these jailhouse type of showers. There was no electricity most of the time. This was India circa 1988 in a village. There was no phones. There was no internet. I was traveling without a credit card. They had nothing. Where do I find my happiness from? Well, we're not drinking or smoking. We're not medicating ourselves with sex. We're celibate monks. Where are they getting their pleasure from? There's nothing to purchase. How many robes can you buy? You can't Amazon Prime more stuff. There's no stuff to purchase. This is the crazy dilemma I was growing in. I thought by accumulating and collecting stuff, I'd find my peace. I'd find my connection. I'd find my wholeness. Matter of fact, we even have this word in our culture, net worth. What is your net worth? That's when I take all my assets, right? All my investments and my property, and I add them all up and I find my worth. But the yogis were saying, no, 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 no. This is not how we find our worth. Our worth is not our stuff. Our worth is our contribution. That is huge. That was a huge lesson. And today I'm going to go over some practical things that I took away that you can apply immediately to find a joy that's our birthright. So back to the monks. How did these guys become so happy? You see, you didn't have to preach to me. And there was no lecture I had to hear or even a sacred book, which I love. All I had to see was the smile on their faces to know they don't want my money. They don't want anything I have. But I want everything they have. And they figured it out. They cracked the Rubik's Cube, so to speak. They figured it out. How do you cross the slack line of existence and find happiness with absolutely nothing? You know, the monks taught me something incredibly practical. Something I took away, I put in my pocket, I keep with me to today. They changed the lens of how I should view the world. You see, I thought I should view the world as, what can I get from this world? How can there be success in this world? What can I accumulate? Is it a soulmate? Is it adventure? What can I get from this world? But instead of seeing the world like this, they said, see the world as a place where you can grow, as you can reform, like rehab, like you're here to evolve. And I find it's a better set of lenses to see the world. Otherwise, adversities are pains in the neck. But these adversities, they're my friends. Because now, whether it's a good day or a bad day, when my vision says, how can I evolve here? There's always something for me. Because the world isn't happening to me, it's happening for me. The situation I'm going through with a friend or someone who's driving me insane isn't happening to me, it's happening for me, because the entire universe is designed for my growth. And there's no bad days then. Even the bad days are auspicious days. I was taught the biggest adversities are not out there, they're in here. My biggest issue, my biggest Himalayan peak to climb in this lifetime is not about changing the world. It's about changing myself and how I react in this world. It's about dealing with the mind. The entire yoga practice is about dealing with the mind, because when my mind changes, the world changes, and I interface differently with the world. The mind is a friend or it's an enemy, depending on how it's trained. So how does the mind become an enemy? We train the mind not to go to hate. We zoom out, see the bigger picture of the situation. We understand that people do hateful things because they don't know how to react to what's going on. Hurt people hurt people. You can't change a person by hating them. In fact, suppose there's a dog and the dog's been beaten, and then therefore, because of that, the dog bites. How do you think you correct that dog's behavior? You don't correct it by hitting them, severe disciplining them. You correct that dog by loving them. Hurt people, hurt people. Don't let the mind go to hate. Don't let hate make you hateful or hate one. We live in a time unprecedented where people have lost their jobs. They've lost their homes. They've lost their marriages. They lost their sobriety. We can't let the situation break us and look for a boogeyman. You know, I got to start working on myself. Parents, ever catch yourself doing this one? Stop yelling at your sister! Like I'm yelling at my kid to stop yelling. And then I'm like, oh, I get it. You get all your bad qualities from me. I'm training you to be like me. This is my work. This is my work. My work has to be turned inward if I'm going to make effect on the world at all. And where does it start? It starts with this mind. Here's another great one. Find the good. So simple. Find the good. I'm expert at finding the bad. How can I find the good? I do this especially. This dog I have. Now, I'm not a dog person. I'm a cat person. My wife wanted a dog. And this dog, especially when it's a nice dog, I just didn't want a dog around. Especially when the kids were little and I have to wake up early and I just want a little bit of meditation time. So I have to sneak down the creaky stairs. Don't wake up that puppy. If you wake up that puppy, it's all over. But I would do it. And I literally had an actual map of where to walk on those steps so they would just not creak, but all it took was 1 foot out of place. And then all of a sudden, the dog goes crazy. And I'm up. He won't go back to sleep. And you got to wake up early before those kids get up, because then there's no meditation. So I'm sitting there trying to sit in peace, holding my sacred malas, while there's just a little dog. La 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 la. Here I am, chanting for peace, chanting for tolerance, chanting for inner strength, chanting for love. And all I want to do is choke a baby Labrador. What is the matter with me? Finally, after a few days of hate, I realize everything I need is right in front of me. You're praying for peace, compassion, tolerance. How are you going to deal with this dog? Why am I creating my adversities in this life? The adversities are there for my evolution. And how do you get good at all these things? Everything that we do is a practice. You say it in yoga. People say this in the yoga community all the time. Oh, she's got a great practice. He's got such a great practice. How do you get good at handstands? Do you come out of your mother's womb doing handstands? No, it's a practice. You get up, you fall down. You get up, you fall down. You keep getting up and falling down. It's a practice. And everything's a practice. Wouldn't it be great if you could just, because you see some people, you tell them, hey, do a handstand. Whoop, they go right up. Wouldn't it be great if I say, let go of resentment and anger, and they just let it go? Wouldn't that be nice? You can do it. How do you do it? It's a practice. Some people say, I can't forgive. Yeah, you got to practice it. Just like the people say, I don't want to do yoga. I'm not so flexible. Yeah, that means you should be doing yoga. That's not your disqualification. That's your qualification to do yoga, your inflexibility. So what I need in my life is I got to find these things I'm not good at, and I got to practice them. That mind's got to be trained in seeing the good. The mind has to have red flags go off when I start to hate. And my criticism and my complaints, that has to end. I have to train myself, or else the mind starts to own me. If I don't own my mind starts to own me. And that's a very helpless situation. So how do you get this long-term happiness in a temporary world? We're in the position where we have to rehab our thoughts. And how do you do that? It's a regular practice.
Well, I must say, after listening to Raghunath sir's talk, all of us admire the inner enlightening that never fades away with success. Now, it's time to move on to a wonderful performance where we can all relax and enjoy watching it. So, give a huge round of applause for our next performers.
Te yum ta ta tam kita takada te yum dhalan kutak dhalan kutak dari kita takadam re tam kita takade ida te tatte ida takita dam ida de tam takada kita te ida te tatte kita takadari kita takadam detta adatta kittade tatte tatte adatta kittadam detta tagada kittade tatte tatte kittade dari kittade dam detta kittade adatte kittade dam detta kittade tagadari kittade dam detta kittade adatte kittade dam tagadari kittade dam kittade dari kittade dam detta kittade tatte kittade dam detta kittade adatte kittade dam detta kittade adatte kittade ta tam gida dam ide tam tari kittadike tangadike kittadike da te da kittadike da kittadike tam tam da de tam tagadike tagadike da de te da te tagadike kittadike tam de ta da kittade da te tagadike tam de ta da kittade da te da kittadike kittadike tam de ta kittadike da kittadike tam tagadike kittadike tam kittadike tam kittadike tam de tagadire tatte kittadike tam tagadire kittadam trigadam tam de tagadire tatte kittadam de tagadire tatte kittadam de gedum dam da de dum dam tagadire kittadike tam edta tagadire trigadam te edatte da kittadike tari kittadike tam de ta tajum tari kittadike de tatte tajum kittadam de tari kittadam tatte tari kittadike te tatte tari kittadam tatte tari kittadike tam de ta tari kittadike te tatte tari kittadike tam de ta dattum trigadam tam de ta tagadire kittadike te tatte tagadire kittadike tam de ta tari kittadike te tatte tari kittadike tam de ta dattum trigadam ta tajum kittadira ada kitta tari kittadam tada tajum kittade ada kitta tari kittadike ta tajum kittadira tada tajum kittade tari kittadam tari kittadam tagadike tari kittadam tam
Janana janana tanana tanana tom janana janana tanana tanana tom janana janana tanana tanana janana janana tanana tanana tom tom janana janana tanana tanana tom tom janana janana tanana tanana गीत धुनि को तकधीम नात्र केट तुम नाच रहे गोरी ताल दे तुम फिर तुम गीत धुनि को तकधीम नात्र केट तुम नाच रहे ततै तान गावे तक ततै ततै तान गावे तक ततै 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 ततक तना धीम तकिड तक धीम धीम तकिड तक धीम धीम तकिड तक धीम हदतो हसगीत धुनि को तक धीम शरणायो सो हमारो तुम हरो ताप संकट शरणायो सो हमारो तुम हरो तदीम तदीम तिरना उदनित तानि तानि तदीम तदीम तिरना तदीम तदीम तिरना उदनित तानि तानि तदीम तदीम तिरना अलरि गलरि तद गताचार तद गमां तानि तद गतां कार दिं 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 तकतन अलरि तों 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 तकतन तनि अलरि गीत धुनि को तक धीम नाद्र कीट तो नाच रहे गोरी तानि तै तै तदों तिरगतों गीत धुनि को तक धीम नाद्र कीट तो नाच रहे गोरी तानि तै तै तदों तिरगतों धीम निको तक धीम निको तक
It was an amazing performance, wasn't that? Well, I know you all are very excited to watch our next speaker's talk. So, before wasting any more time, let's call our another speaker, Mr. Manoj Vasudevan. Sir is an internationally acclaimed next level leadership readiness expert who helps leaders to break through to the next level by arming them with the ability to connect, network, lead, and influence. He is the CEO of Thought Expressions and was the world champion of public speaking. He has also coached top level entrepreneurs, senior executives, and bureaucrats alike. He believes the world will become a better place when more competent people become confident, eloquent, and influential, as evident from this talk.
Over the past 25 years, I have played the role of an engineer, software engineer, globe-trotting management consultant, entrepreneur, speaker, author, mentor, and then as leadership coach, helping leaders to get to the next level. In my role as mentor and leadership coach, I have been fortunate to have opportunities to interact closely with people from many walks of life in different corners of the world, including professionals, executives, entrepreneurs, some of whom started from humble beginnings and went on to build multi-billion-dollar businesses. In that process, I was also fascinated to discover the different routes people take as they navigate their journey of life. Today, I was told the majority of people in this audience are undergraduate engineering students who are looking forward to graduate and embark on their journey of life. Has anyone told you yet to study well, study hard, and graduate with distinction? Then did someone else tell you, no matter how hard you study, No matter how high you score, there are no good jobs waiting for you. And if you have been following the news, that's one of the top concerns. The jobs are going away. Unemployment is going to rise. You are in trouble. If you follow this line of thinking, it's natural to become scared about your future. The question I would like to explore with you today is this: where did you get the idea that someone should give you a job? What makes people think that getting a job is the best thing to do in life? How did that notion come about and become so entrenched in our minds that we do not see other options? I believe there is another way, a way that most people do not see or choose to ignore. Now, what will you do if you do not get a job? Are you going to create jobs? Are you going to serve society? Are you going to tap on your creativity? Is that possible? Yes, in fact, that's what entrepreneurs do. Peter Diamandis, executive chairman of Singularity University, believes entrepreneurs will create more wealth in the next decade than in the past century. More in the next decade than the past century. Today, I would like to share with you some lessons I learned that might help you as you venture into the future. When I was growing up in Kerala, India, being an entrepreneur was looked down upon. Both my parents were government employees. They got the job on merit and they were very proud of it. They believed getting a government job was the be all and end all of life. They were happy to serve and were delighted by the fact that the government will take care of them even after they retire through pensions. They were both honest, hardworking, and proud to be government servants. And among our relatives, my parents attracted respect, envy, and admiration. But in those days, in my town, entrepreneurship is what you do when you do not get a government job and you can't even get a job in the private sector. Entrepreneurs were generally perceived as reckless, crooked, corrupt fellows who steal our resources to enrich themselves. And if you are successful in business, people would say he is crooked and well connected. If you fail in business, people would say he is good for nothing. He didn't study well. He couldn't get a job. Then he started a business and lost all the money. That fear of criticism tends to terrify and discourage people from wanting to do something different from the rest. The prevailing mindset was government jobs are the best, business is stress. As students, we were expected to strive to get a government job first. And if you can't get a government job, you can try for a job in the private sector. But then people complain about the long hours and lack of job security. The option for entrepreneurship was not even discussed. It was not on the table. Contrast that mindset with the following. A few years ago, I asked a businessman, what prompted you to leave a promising professional career and start a company? He said, if you have a job, you feed your family. If you have a company, you can also feed the society. You see, there are many problems in our society, in our country, and in our world. Governments can't solve all the problems. Governments are generally good at making great promises, but not at delivering with efficiency. That's where entrepreneurs step in. Any thriving economy anywhere in the world needs entrepreneurs to survive, thrive, and scale. If you look at developed economies, they promote entrepreneurship. Why? Because entrepreneurs have the incentive to create value, to innovate, to solve problems at scale. They sustain the economy. They also create job opportunity. After graduation as an engineer, I started off working in private companies. I too harbored secret dreams to become an entrepreneur, but had no clue on how to start. Back in 1999, I was working for a large multinational company. We had a great in-house research team that predicted the future precisely. For example, back in 1999, we were told there would be a convergence of all electronic devices. We knew back then we would soon have one device that will merge mobile phones, cameras, music, fax machines, fast internet, and wireless connectivity into one device. My colleagues and I had the right information 8 years before smartphones became widespread, but we didn't take advantage of that information. During that time, I was traveling a lot, working in new cities and new countries. Wherever I went, I faced similar problems. In each new city, I had to figure out where to live, where to eat, where to shop. I felt there might be a lot of other people who have similar problems. I can do something about that. I can use my technical skills to create an online community where expatriates in every city can come together, connect with each other, share information, and help each other. I even had a name for my entrepreneurial venture. But I was not thinking like an entrepreneur. I got so excited about my unique idea that I didn't tell anyone. What if they steal it? Eventually, I did nothing about it. Years later, Facebook and many others successfully created online communities at scale. I'm not suggesting Facebook copied my idea. What I am saying is having early ideas and early insights are great, but that's not what's important. The market does not reward your ideas. The market only rewards your successful execution. Now, compare my mindset back then to the mindset of an young entrepreneur I was coaching a few years ago. He runs a multi-billion-dollar business, highly successful. During one coaching session, he asked me my opinion about a challenge he was facing in his business. I'm no expert in his business, but I was happy to share my views. As I was sharing my ideas, I saw him playing on his phone. I was so annoyed. I asked, "Are you okay?" He said, yeah, I'm listening. I am sending messages to my team to implement the ideas you are sharing with me. I was shocked. I thought we were only having a discussion. It was not time yet for decision or implementation. Now, here is the point to note. Successful entrepreneurs do not wait to act. They are decisive and fast to act on ideas. It is just a different way of thinking. Because you do not really know whether your idea works until you test it. If it doesn't work, pivot. Find another way. Once I was having a live lunch with a billionaire entrepreneur. He told me how he started off as a manual laborer and continued his journey by spotting one opportunity after another to build his empire. When I met him, he was on a 6-week vacation. Then I asked him a stupid question. Who is taking charge of your businesses when you are on a 6-week vacation? He said, oh, I have CEOs who run my businesses. I was conditioned to think that CEOs are the heads of organizations. Then I started to notice that many CEOs are actually reporting to entrepreneurs and investors. What I've seen is that the best entrepreneurs always manage to find time for what is important for them and their family. Here is their secret. They learn how to build high performance teams that can operate without their supervision. They develop 5 core abilities: the ability to connect, to communicate, to network, to lead and influence. Fortunately, these are skills you can master if you're willing. Now, even if you do not want to learn these skills, there is something else you can do. Strategic coach Dan Sullivan believes you can 10x your business when you start to think who, not how. Which means when you have to do something new, don't rush to learn how to do it. Find out who knows it the best and get their help to get it done. I have noticed that the one thing that stops many competent people from becoming entrepreneurs is that they feel they are not good enough, not smart enough, or not experienced enough. What I have seen is that many high achievers are of average intelligence, but they do something really smart. They do not seek to be seen as the smartest person in the room. They are eager to attract, recruit, and surround themselves with people who are way smarter than them. They do not see talented people as a threat, but as a strategic asset to convert their vision into reality. If you look around, it is not difficult to see A graders working for C graders. Have you seen that? It's just a different way of thinking. Once I was speaking at a leadership conference. In the audience, I saw a humble looking man, and I was told he co-leads a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. His organization is one of the biggest employers in that country and known for their charitable activities. When I got a chance to speak with this gentleman privately, I asked, hey, you have already made it big. What motivates you to keep going even after you've made all this wealth? He said, I do business because it's my passion. I will do my best during my time and give it all away in the end. After meeting numerous such people around the world, I have upgraded my mindset. I am convinced entrepreneurs should not be classified as reckless, crooked, corrupt folks who steal our resources to enrich themselves. They are playing an important role in society, just like government employees or private sector employees, worthy of our respect and admiration. Now, how can you get started? Look for problems that need solutions. Listen to ideas. Share your ideas. Debate ideas. Help others. Seek inspiration. Seek collaboration with like-minded people. And don't hesitate to collaborate with people who are smarter than you. Tap on their talent, expertise, and experience. You can learn a lot. So, what path should you be taking as you navigate your journey of life? Should you become an employee or an entrepreneur? I don't know. That's a decision you need to make for yourself. But I can tell you this, even if you choose to be an employee, you can greatly benefit from thinking like an entrepreneur. And if you have that spark in you to achieve both income and impact, to serve society, or to solve problems at scale, or just to unleash your full potential during your lifetime, you can greatly benefit from thinking like an entrepreneur. It will not only help you, it can help the teams you choose to work with. It can help the society you live in. It can help you to leave a legacy.
Oh, that was so refreshing to know the winning insights from the winner himself. Our next speaker is Jesse Johnson. Have you ever thought that sales can be done through spirituality? That's something unique, right? I think our next speaker would be the best person to explain you about that. She's the founder and CEO of the Jesse Johnson Coaching. She teaches sales as a spiritual practice. Let's give it up for Jesse Johnson.
I believe everyone's doing their best, and that the fundamental potential of humanity is meant for good. I also believe that our baseline experience is meant to feel good. We are meant to feel that we belong, to feel seen, to feel loved. This is our birthright. The truth of humanity is that we are, at a core level, built as two things: the innate impulse to grow and evolve, and on the other side we have the reptilian response, a fear-based desire to hunker down and do the same thing we've always done, because the risk inside of change is so great. This is a planet where we experience lots of adversity. What are we gonna do when it comes, y'all? 'Cause it's coming. The part of us that resists is a fearsome opponent to our desire for growth and evolution. It will fight change until it's required to step up and evolve in the face of adversity. As someone who's truly created an incredible life that was not the default setting given to me, I'm currently doing work I adore. I cannot escape, nor do I want to. Nobody can escape adversity. Checking off all the boxes, living your dream life does not protect you from adversity. 2020 was the year where we as a global humanity were forced to look at the systemic racism, the ignored class system, the climate and economic crises, and name these adversities collectively and clearly. Because the world locked down. We could no longer look away. We could no longer ignore. We were at risk of losing our lives, our money, and our privilege. The abandonment of these securities was collective and pivotal. This was a change forced upon us through adversity that we had not experienced before. A human core wound for so many individuals that we're so petrified of touching on is abandonment. We're afraid of being left, betrayed, rejected, alone. This is the voice of our subconscious, which operates with the vantage point of our inner child. All these things mean death to a child. Abandonment is one of our first experiences with adversity. And because of this, we vilify adversity instead of seeing it as the catalyst to personal agency. And agency comes from the recognition that you have the power to choose. Adversities provide us with opportunities that we may not have seen because our reptilian brain's risk of death was in the way. Opportunity is an invitation we were not expecting. Opportunity and possibilities are always present. It's not about being in the right place at the right time. It's the agency we have. It's the decision to see. Awareness, opportunity, and possibility is all about the future and creation. Transformation, contribution, expansion are always available to us. And opportunity is defined as the moment we become aware that it's here. My husband, Shri, and I traveled to India right before the pandemic. We were lucky we got back, as it was February 2020. In India, the industrial pollution and the fires burning so people could warm themselves made it very hard to breathe. And when we looked into the distance, we couldn't see the Himalayas. They were hidden by the same pollution that caused us to fight for air. Within 1 month of our travels home and the lockdown of the world, the pollution was gone. This opened up a window into how quickly the earth could clear the toxicity of humanity, how quickly nature could clear us of our unconsciousness. This is a perfect example of how adversity interrupts our unconsciousness. Our unconsciousness is stubborn. How long could we have gone on not acknowledging the inequity inside of public schools for our children? The adversity of educating all our kids remotely shone a light on this inequity with the flip of a switch. There's all this space to remake the system of school because of the adversity we face together. This same unconscious stubbornness is true in the economy. Loss of work and jobs have now given us the opportunity to create new systems and an economy that's not based on haves and have-nots. We don't have to choose between the two. The call to build a new economy can be about actively moving money that is aligned with your vision as well as the vision of others. All of this adversity on its own is not enough, and it can be helpful in illuminating where we are tolerating and to show us vividly what we don't want to accept and put into focus what we don't want to see. George Floyd's murder and the captive audience of humanity was an interruption we could no longer ignore. This story touched people in painful ways that they had not been open or willing to be touched before. This didn't feel good. And this was an invitation I was not expecting. Because of his death, I was able to see. My baby boy is not white. My son will grow up with more adversity than I because he's Black. And I might not have gotten the memo without all of the tragic and all too common adversity of racial injustice in the United States. The study of this work is not pleasant, and the study of this work is liberating. We have been stuck because we make adversity wrong and avoid it because it's painful. And that has caused us to feel powerless in the face of adversity. I'm humbled in the anticipation of how to show up with my child. I cannot protect him from adversity. I plan to empower him to use it well and have agency because of it. I will teach him to welcome adversity and use it to get efficiently and gracefully on the path of his own true purpose. Adversity is a catalyst, an incredibly useful tool to put up a fight worth having with the part of us that is vehemently attached to what's familiar, even when it's miserable. Adversity demands that we change, even when we don't want to. When we can claim adversity as this kind of catalyst, then we can make the kind of contribution we came here to make in the first place. The adversity we as humanity collectively experienced in 2020 gave us agency over opportunities like waking up to racial injustice and choosing deep care for one another by sheltering at home to protect each other from a deadly virus. These were opportunities we were unwilling to consider before. In the wake of the pandemic, we were given explicit opportunities to claim agency over our lives, make the decision to care for one another and the planet simultaneously. Some of us did, some of us didn't. Adversity exists. There is no getting around it. And agency is the key to our biggest contribution in our lives, our communities, and on the planet. We all have agency. But adversity can sometimes confuse the issue. We've been taught there are haves and have-nots. The essence of the paradigm of have and have-not is the cause of all the injustice and problems in the world. In this paradigm, at best, we get to choose which one we want to be. At worst, we stay stuck with the one we're given. Our society is built on centuries of have and have not. And until we consciously go after a world that transcends that, we will continue to recreate it. It's a popular fantasy that if we can be a have, we won't experience adversity. But the goal is not to minimize adversity, it's to redefine it. All human harm and horror is a result of our fundamental misunderstanding of adversity. When we believe we have to get on top in order to prove our agency, we've misunderstood adversity because we're trying to avoid it. This dehumanizes everyone, polarizes us, and causes us to walk around in fear and separateness. The truth is, no amount of awareness or money or other kinds of privilege can protect us from adversity. And embedded in this entire paradigm of have versus have not is the victimhood and feeling that we don't have agency here on this earth. I can have compassion for this perspective because we are human beings, and spoiler alert, we all die. The misunderstanding we have as humans is that because we die, we can't control anything. And that's the good news. We no longer have to. We have an opportunity right now to vision the new economy. And by using adversity as the catalyst to our own agency, we can contribute to a new paradigm of the haves and haves. A world where it's win-win. Becoming aware and using that awareness to make conscious decisions is the source of our personal empowerment. We can receive, we can contribute, we can make life how we want it. We can make a world that rejects the duality of have and have not. We have the power to grow in alignment with our desire and our vision. We have the power to be generous with all people, to co-create in our communities, and to transform at every level. This is a world where everyone wins. This is the new economy. Pause in moments of despair, lack, fear, panic, and chaos. Rename this adversity as opportunity and lovingly, relentlessly move into your personal agency. And what becomes possible? Think of Mother Teresa, Oprah, Rihanna, Tarana Burke, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Helen Keller, Anne Frank, Maya Angelou, Billy Porter, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Jesus Christ. Every freaking body who inspired any of us. Personal agency does not mean we are growing the grass or blooming the flowers. It means we are awake and alive to our own power to choose in this life, in this circumstance, in this relationship, to bring ourselves to go deeper. Agency means using the thing and taking action rather than being run over by it. Enthusiastically welcoming adversity is where opportunity awaits. I'm asking you to say yes to the unknown, because that's what opportunity is. I know it's scary. When we create a world where we use adversity well and moment to moment make decisions for growth, then opportunities abound. We create more harmony and space for coexisting. We invite more calm, collaboration, love, and healing. When we use adversity well, we welcome our differences around race, gender identity, sexual orientation, spiritual beliefs, and core values. And we build a world where all people benefit. How do you benefit from adversity? What's the contrast it reveals for you? Instead of money scarcity doing work that we hate, true abundance, doing meaningful work we love. Instead of injustice, healing, redemption, and cultural change. Instead of isolation, the deepest support from a team that backs us, fights for us, and believes in us. Allow adversity to highlight where there is more real estate for what you truly want, what the world truly wants. The contrast marks the edge so you can see it more clearly. And once you can see it clearly, prioritize that vision. Seeing the Himalayas 24/7, 365. Knowing you can make the money you want, when you want, how you want. Not needing to have the talk with any more sons. Equity on the planet, nonviolence, and unconditional love. This is what welcoming adversity looks like.
Wow! It was incredible to know how simply we can enjoy our work culture by loving with all the spiritual powers and positivity. It's time to enjoy the another amazing performance by Team Kalarpan.
जहाँ मुस्कुराहटे बिखरी जहाँ से गम का मौसम गया जहाँ मीठी बातें हर अजनबी से हो भूले हम भी जो सारे फिक्रे लम्हा लम्हा खुशियाँ बिखरे इधर उधर और यहाँ वहाँ चाहे वही दिल का है जहाँ baby 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 कब तक गिने हम धड़कने दिल जैसे धड़क धड़कने दो क्यों है कोई आग दबी शोला जो भड़क भड़कने दो कैसा अजब ये सफर है सोचो तो हर एक ही बेखबर है कैसा अजब ये सफर है सोचो तो हर एक ही बेखबर है उसको जान
चढ़ जाऊं, चिल्ला चिल्ला के मैं ये सबसे कह दूं, रोको है ये वक्त का इशारा, रोको हर लम्हा हो प्यारा, रोको यूं ही देखता है क्या तू, रोको जिंदगी मिलेगी ना दोबारा। दिल चाहता है दिल चाहता है दिल चाहता है दिल चाहता है।
Wonderful! I must say, today we all can feel the energetic environment around, aren't we? With this note, let's call our voracious speaker, Mr. Krishna Sharma. Employability skills are an essential that enables you to thrive in any workplace. No matter how good your score is, eventually, skill is the only thing that matters in the corporate world. Here we have an amazing personality among us, who is the world record holder of being the youngest Vice Chancellor, a researcher, an author, and the list goes on. Everyone, put your hands together for Mr. Krishna Sharma.
Unemployment has become a big problem across the globe. And the problem is so evident, I don't even need to give any statistics about it. Just look around you and you'll find people who had graduated half a decade ago and they still don't have a job. You'll find people who lost their jobs and they're still struggling to get it back. The problem is so big that the countries that have the highest level of employment still hit hardly 79.9%, means out of 10 people, still 1 to 2 people are unemployed. The problem of unemployment is generated from the employment, from the concept of employment, because the employment has become an opium of the people. Why opium? Because it gives people illusion. People live in the false sense of assurance and security. When I say false security, you look at the contracts. Most of the jobs are contractual, means by the end of your contract, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you become a hustler. Before your contract expires, you have that sense of insecurity in your mind and heart if your contract is going to be renewed. When I talk about false sense of assurance, you look at your contract, you feel that by the end of your contract, you will have X amount of money hitting your bank account. But does it happen? No, because you certainly face some challenges on the way. You may be sick. You may have some other engagement that force you to take leave. If you just look at the statistics, as per the International Labour Organization, in year 2020, the total loss in the labor market was 3.7 trillion US dollars. To simplify these numbers, in India, we are 1.39 billion people. If we convert that money into Indian rupees and give everyone the equal share, each of us, even the newborn, will have 1,97,000 rupees. Can you imagine? I'm talking about India. Every 6th human being on this planet is an Indian. So does it mean the companies are wrong? Does it mean they're not doing what they're supposed to do? No, not at all. They're doing what exactly they have to do. They must sustain, they must survive. To survive, they have to lay off people who are not that crucial for the organization during this critical period. In order to retain as many people as possible, they need to cut the salaries so that everyone survives. So where's the problem? The problem is actually in the mindset. We have the mindset of getting a degree, getting a job, and becoming settled. Now, getting a degree shouldn't be the mindset. The mindset should be about learning a skill. Getting a job shouldn't be the mindset. The mindset should be testing your skills at the job. Your mindset should be able to test what impact you can create in an organization. Then getting settled. That shouldn't be your mindset. Getting settled means you get a job and that's your final destination. Not at all. Employment or the job is only one of the phases of your career evolution. The first phase is picking an interest. You decide, right, that I like computers or I like medicine. Picking an interest is the first phase. The second phase is learning the relevant skills so that you can do what you love to do. The third stage is testing those learned skills into an institution or organization, doing a job. And the final phase is becoming independent, becoming an employer instead of becoming or remaining an employee. So how to solve it? It's not that difficult to solve. It's all about taking shared responsibilities. There are 4 key influencers. Number 1, the parents and the teachers. They need to expose the kids. They need to show them different fields, different professions. They need to take the kids to the field trips. They need to invite professionals to give a talk in their schools. They need to meet different friends who are in different professions so that they can guide the kids. The kids pick the right interest. Let me give an example. In one of my last universities, a student studied for 2 years. She was supposed to do 3 years course in Bachelor of Procurement and Logistics. She did 2 years. She drops out. She comes back after 1 year, meets me in my office and tells, Professor, I want to continue my studies. And I said, well done. That's a good news. Let's start. She said, no, I don't want to study what I was studying. I want to study social works. And then I asked, what changed? I mean, you came to take admission. You already spent 2 years. You just study 1 year. You'll be able to finish your program because legally a 3 years degree program can be completed in 5 years. So you're still safe. And she told, no, when I was studying, everything was good, but I realized this was not what I would love to do. That's not where my interest lies. So she took 1 year leave. She explored herself. She started her own NGO. And she loved doing that. The NGO started doing well. And by the end of 1 year, she knew exactly what skills she wanted to learn. And that's the reason she came to university, not to get a degree, but to learn this skill. After that, the responsibility falls on the shoulders of the students. The students should study to learn a skill, not to get a degree, not to just get the marks. Remember, it's not your teachers or professors who are the real evaluators of yours. It's the employers who are going to see if your papers speak to your skills. After that, it becomes our responsibility as academicians, the universities, the higher education institutions, to draft the curriculum which is practical. When I got my first administrative duty, I really struggled. I didn't know how to look at the finances. I didn't know human resource. I didn't know marketing. I didn't know the legal aspects. And I had to learn on the job. And I wish I was taught these things while I was in the university. If I was taught entrepreneurship, financial literacy, human resource management, administration, my life would have been quite easy, right? Because at the end, we all need it, whether we like it or not. So it's our responsibility to ensure that we have these essential and crucial modules in the curriculum. And finally, the government. The government must provide funding to the institutions and universities so that they set up different incubation centers and innovation hubs where the students come with an idea. The ideas are tested, they are vetted, the students are guided, and by the time they finish it, They already have a business in their hand. They already have a finished product in their hand. And trust me, if all of us take our responsibility, do the right thing, the world will be a better place and there will be no problem of unemployment.
Stupendous talk. These are some insights which you'll never get anywhere else but at TEDxGECA. Let's get up, guys, calling our next speaker Mr. Atul Kawthalkar, also known as Sadhosh. He's a passionate actor and a director. He has worked in many independent films and web series, White Umbrella, The Interrogation, and Metro Measures, to name a few. He is also a human behavior enthusiast on a mission to impact more than 100,000 lives to bring out their maximum potential. He is curiously working on awareness of mental health in youth. He has touched many lives before and continues to transform the lives of hundreds of people through his offline and online coaching, as you'll witness in about a moment.
When you wake up early in the morning and you have the hot cup of tea in front of you and you put the delicious cookie into that hot tea, and to your utter disbelief, more than half of the cookie has melted and only this much is left. And you looking at this cookie say, God, life is so unfair, how could this be happening to me? Today I'm not going to talk about such hardships of life which melts a cookie. I know those are quite difficult to handle. But today we are going to talk about hardships which melts your confidence, which melts your inner strength, which melts your drive for life. If you're going through a failure right now in your life, or if you have gone through failure in the past, let me tell you, failure is a gift. It will make you grow. I am a living proof that you can hit a rock bottom into a life and still transform into a life that is truly meaningful, that is truly purposeful. Hi, this is Atul. Let me walk you through my life. Scene 1. A little boy sitting on the last bench of a classroom, trying to hide not only from his teacher but from everybody else, looking anxious, absolutely scared, thinking, what if they ask me a question and how will I answer? Well, this is a state that every child goes through when he's put in English medium school from a vernacular medium. Well, that was me. Finally, the day arrived. Teacher asked me a question and I fumbled trying to gather my thoughts in English. And guess what? Teacher scolded me, all the classmates ridiculed me, and even that cute little girl who I kind of liked started laughing her heart out. My heart sank. My self-esteem went boom out of the window and every ounce of my confidence was slashed into pieces. The next 4.5 years, I was in absolute deep depression. I wasn't able to lift my neck up just because of the fear that I had of everyone else. What would you do? I read a line somewhere which said, darling, you are a superstar. And I took the stairway to heaven and not to hell. Scene 2. I was working as a civil engineer in a construction firm. It was so different from the personality I was like. It was like asking a fish to climb up a tree, which it cannot. The same thing happened with me. I was emotionally choked from inside as a civil engineer. So I decided to say bye-bye to it forever. It was difficult initially and painful, but the voice whispered in my ears saying, darling, you're a superstar. And I took the stairway to heaven and not to hell. Scene 3. I began exploration for my passion for stage as an actor. I enjoyed exploring the psychological and behavioral aspects of the character in the script, the rehearsals, and the exploration of various human emotions and the live feedback of the audience with an applause or a chuckle really fascinated me. I was really having the time of my life. But then few wise men said, if you want your pocket and stomach to be full, you must move to mainstream cinema or television. I said, it's a great idea. Then I started giving auditions. I gave auditions after auditions and auditions for 11 years and 600 plus auditions. Not many production houses hired me. Only 8 of them believed in me. And guess what? 3 of the films bombed, 2 never released, and 3 are still in production level. And then I moved to television. Television was something like if you ask cricketer Rahul Dravid to hit a ball like Shahid Afridi for 6 every moment, what would he do? It won't work. And television didn't work for me. It was too fast. I think it needed a different kind of acting skill set for which I think I wasn't competent enough. So what? The television series fired me twice. What would you do? Again, a voice whispered in my ears, saying, "Darling, you are a superstar." And I took the stairway to heaven and not to hell. Now you might ask, "Hey Atul, wait. What is this stairway to hell and stairway to heaven?" Let me tell you. Have you been to hell before? I've been there many a times. But I don't believe in hell or heaven after death, but that it exists right within us. Not convinced? Let me walk you through a short story. A tough samurai once visited a Zen master who was in his deep meditation. That samurai was absolutely discourteous and impatient and demanded in his husky voice, "Tell me the nature of hell and heaven right now." The Zen master opened his eyes, looked straight into the face of the samurai and said, "Why should I bother answering to a shabby, disgusting person like you? Get out of my sight. I don't have time for your silly questions." This made the samurai absolutely angry, and in rage, he took his sword and decided to sever the head of the Zen master once and for all. As he was about to cut, the Zen master looked ferociously in the eyes of the samurai and declared, "That's hell." The hand of the samurai started trembling, his body froze, tears started coming out of his eyes, and he realized that anger had him in its grip. He realized that his mind had created his own hell, which is filled with resentment, anger, fear, frustration. He threw the sword aside, joined his palms, with tears in his eyes, bowed down to the Zen master in gratitude for this wonderful insight. The master smilingly declared, "That's heaven." So, the magical part about hell and heaven are that they don't lie somewhere up above the sky, but that they exist right within us. Not in the outside world, but in us. We experience hell and heaven right within us. Hell and heaven are states of mind. So basically, when we experience failure in our life, we experience emotions such as sorrow, fear, and we say, "Oh my God, I'm going through hell." Okay, so it's the failure from which the whole facade happens. So now let's explore step by step the birth of a failure. Well, you try to do something in life with a lot of happiness, a lot of passion, emotion. You have absolute dreams about it. You take massive actions, and to utter disbelief, you don't get the result you expected. And what happens? You reach to the step 1 called as loss of expectations. And you say, "Oh my God, you don't exist." Do you stop at loss of expectations? If you would, then it was actually cool. But no, you go one step higher, and that is disappointment. Disappointment sounds something like this: "Oh my God, I tried everything. It didn't work. I can't believe I have to face this for my efforts. Now I know, God, you surely don't exist." But you stop at disappointment. If you would, then it was actually cool. But no, you go one step higher, and that is called hurt. Hurt sounds something like this: "Oh my God, I have tried everything and it didn't work. I can't believe this is the result I'm getting. Life is unfair." Tears, tears, tears. Do you stop at hurt? If you would, then it was actually cool. But no, you go one step higher and you say, God, you don't exist. The one step higher is anger. You get angry. You say, oh my God, it sounds something like this. God, I tried everything, but it didn't work. How could this be happening to me? It's unfair. Life is trash. Life is unfair. Now, I know you don't exist, God. Do you stop at anger? If you would, then it was okay. But no, you go one more step higher. And that is resentment. Resentment comes in two flavors basically. Resentment with outside people and situation, and resentment with self. Resentment with outside people and situations sounds something like this. Oh my God, I tried, but I failed because of him or her. I could have succeeded, but the luck was not in my favor. This is a place where you play the famous game, the blame game. The second kind of resentment with self sounds something like this. Oh, I am the result of this failure. I deserve to suffer. It was all my fault. I'm a fool. I'm a pig. But you stop at resentment. No, you say, God, I know you don't exist. And you reach to another level. And that is called as depression. Depression sounds something like this. I tried. It didn't work. And it will never work. It's all over. It's all over. Now I know, God, you surely don't exist. This is a place of depression where you take the mindset of victim. You become the victim of people, you become the victim of situation. The step which started from loss of expectation goes right up till victim. And this is which I call as the stairway to hell. You start from loss of expectation and you go to hell, the stairway to hell. But there's a good news. The stairway, like hell, you have another stairway, a stairway to light, a stairway to fulfillment, and to which I call as the stairway to heaven. A stairway where there is fulfillment, a stairway where there is a lot of celebration. Well, what happens? You will have loss of expectations, no doubt about that. You will go to the second level called disappointment. It will happen. Then you will go to the third step called as hurt. It's okay. You will feel hurt when you are going through a failure. But what is important at this particular point is to shift your focus. From hurt, you must choose an empowering meaning. You must choose an empowering meaning. Nothing in life has any meaning than the meaning you give it. When failure steps into your door, you have only two options. Either to choose a disempowering meaning or to choose an empowering meaning. You have to decide what you have to label. You can say, oh my God, when the failure has come, it's the end of my life. You can say that. Or you can say, it's the beginning of my life. The choice is yours, my friend. You can say, when the failure knocks your door, oh, God is punishing me. That's your choice. Or you can say, it's a gift from God. The choice is yours. Well, when you choose an empowering meaning, what happens? You feel empowered. When you feel empowered, you take empowering actions. When you take empowering actions, you become an example to which people can look up to. Not somebody who plays a victim card. And this way, you reach to which I call the stairway to heaven. Stairway to heaven, there are two real life examples which I can give you right now. Number one, Pallami Patel, failure she had, 75 to 80% burnt and an amputated arm, 16 years and 45 surgeries on her. Empowering meaning she chose. She says, and I quote, I had only two choices in my life, either to give up and drown myself in self-pity or to make peace with the situation and face it with a smile. When life gives you opportunities, you must grab them with both the hands. I did it with one and half. And there she became an example to who people can look up to. She didn't choose the victim card. Now let's look at the second example. Dada Rao Bilhore, failure he had. He lost his 16-year-old child, Prakash, in a road accident thanks to a pothole. Empowering meaning he chose. After a month of his son's demise, he took a shovel, few paper blocks, stones, sand, and started filling every pothole that he saw in Mumbai. From 2015 till date, he has filled over 900 potholes. Empowering meaning he chose, he says, and I quote, "Every pothole that I fill in Mumbai is a Shraddhanjali, a tribute to my son Prakash." And he became an example. He didn't choose to be a victim of people's situation. He became an example. Empowering meaning I chose. You remember my school days? What happened after that event? You want to know? Well, I chose an empowering meaning. I said to myself, okay, they laugh at me. Great. If they laugh at me, that means I'm funny. Wow, that's great. So if they laugh, even I will laugh with them. So I chose to become an example, and I spoke in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. For the very first time, it happened. And I killed the monster within me, the fear within me. The 4.5 years of depression, the pain was not really a punishment from God, but it was a gift. A gift that transformed me as a person. And look, I'm talking in front of you because I chose an empowering meaning. After that, I felt, oh, I think I've killed the fear, but I should kill it forever. So I took up to stage as an actor. That's how funny life is. And I started acting as an actor. Yes, there were a lot of lows, but there were a lot of silver linings. As an actor, I got a lot of recognition as an actor for international film festivals. Yes, there was a film which a lot of people in the film fraternity said, you must get a national award for that. That film never released. But watching that actor who you look up to, he sends you a message saying, oh, I loved your work. You have a bright future. Can we work together? I mean, it was a dream come true. What else you want? And he signed me for his web series as a protagonist. Well, that was my acting hero, the acting maestro, Vikram Gokhale. When everything seemed fantastically well, a biggest gift of my life arrived. I felt I had a long sleep. I opened my eyes to see all my close ones in absolute tears, absolute agony and pain. And just then, a teddy bear kind of a fat doctor comes up to me and says, are you okay? Are you feeling okay? And I said, okay, doctor, I mean, what really happened with me? He said, we just completed a procedure on you. I said, what actually happened to me? He said, nothing big, my dear. You just suffered a massive heart attack. I said, wait a minute. A lot of time went. And this thought couldn't sink in my mind. And I said, how could this be happening to me? And then after that, I said, well, darling, maybe this is a gift from God. And a voice whispered in my ears once again, darling, you are a superstar. Well, the functioning of my heart is only up to 35% as opposed to a healthy heart, which is 65%. Well, after all this pain, what would you do? I again had two choices, to take the stairway to hell or to take the stairway to heaven. I once again chose to take the stairway to heaven. An unexpected transformation took place within me. I felt at peace, very much calm. There was no pain, no sorrow, no grief. I decided to choose an empowering meaning one more time. I said, let's look beyond myself. Let me go out and help some people. Let me contribute into the world around. I said to myself, wow, one more gift. Congratulations. Let's use it. Let's embrace it. Let's look beyond ourselves. Let's help some people around. I chose an empowering meaning one more time. I could have chosen to be a victim, but no. I said, let me be an example to which people can look up to and say, oh, if he could turn it around, so can I. Today, I'm a proud founder of this company called Intentions. I've started educating people on mental health, helped thousands and thousands of people build self-confidence,
helped people overcome their depression. I have saved innumerable marriages from separation, helped potential suiciders to find a new meaning to life.
Well, life has a special message for you. You want to know? Life says, I will beat you to your knees and will keep you permanently there if you let me. I will be hard on you no matter how strong you are. Well, when failure happens in your life, you always have two choices, either to take the stairway to hell or to take the stairway to heaven. The choice to take the right decision will always be in your hand, my friend. Quality of your life has nothing to do with the conditions of your life, but by the decisions that you take in your life. Well, if you ask me, Atul, what is the biggest gift that a failure gives you? Well, I would say a failure makes you a better person. Only if you choose an empowering meaning. But along the way, if you struggle in life and you start doubting yourself, just tell yourself with smile on your face and love in your heart, darling, you are a superstar. Thank you very much.
The message is so clear to select the path and grab the opportunities by hitting a 6. Thank you so much, Atul sir. We are having another performance by Team Kalarpan. Let's welcome them.
कैसे इश्क से सज गई राहें जब से देखी है तेरी निगाहें या खुदा मैं तो तेरा हो गया तू जो करम फरमाए अदम इंसान हो जाए तू जो करम फरमाए अदम इंसान हो जाए मस्ताना हो के दीवाना हो के तुझे पल में पा जाए सांसें फिजा में तू है रूहे बयां में तू है हर एक तला में हर इंतहा में हर एक नजरे ज़बां तू है
शीश महला मुझको सुहाए तुझे संग सुखी रोटी खाए
मन मस्त मगन बस तेरा नाम दोहराए मन मस्त मगन तेरा नाम दोहराए
तेरा नाम दोहराए.
It actually drives me to think about an amazing concert where everyone is dancing and enjoying all around. Well, now it's time to call our one beautiful speaker, Tammie Stevens ma'am. She's currently on an expedition facing her greatest fears as she tries to bring awareness to what people every day are doing to combat the effects of climate change. Before GB360, she founded an animal rescue, the Lazarus Fund, of which she is still the director, as well as co-founded Billyfish Books, an award-winning publishing company. She's also an accomplished singer and an actress, but her real forte is championing a cause she believes in. Whether it's empowering children on stage, turning heartbreaking animal stories into happy ones, or fighting for our planet, she chooses to be the voice of someone or something crying out to be heard.
Hey everybody, I am so happy to be with you today. I've really been looking forward to it, although I have to say I'm actually a bit disappointed that I'm not in India with you. I absolutely love it. I think it's my favorite place to be on the planet. To me, everything about it is perfect. I've been thinking, though, about our topic today. Opportunity in adversity. And I know that to be true, but I think deep down inside, I think we all know that that is the truth. That when we come through something difficult, when we push through a barrier or an obstacle, we always feel better and something good comes from it in the end. So with your permission, I'm going to tweak the topic just a tad. And I would like to ask you how many times you have created adversity when you've been met with a great opportunity. And that, I believe, is a classic human trait. I've been observing animals and working with animals and working in nature really since I was a child, and I have learned so many things from the animal kingdom. But I think by far the most important and the most impactful is this. Humans are fundamentally stupid. We do the dumbest things. Think about this. We are a unique seed of God, seed of the universe. No one in the history of time has ever been like you or like me, and no one ever will be. And yet, we spend half of our time trying to be like someone else, trying to fit in with someone else, listening to that negative voice in our head. Why is it when we're unique, we would want to be like anyone else? Now, we all know that little horse isn't fooling anyone, and nor are you, nor am I, when we try to be somebody other than our true, authentic self. And I know that because a good portion of my life, I've walked around with that metaphorical plunger on the top of my head, trying to be loved by somebody or trying to fit in somewhere. Sometimes with even fitting in with people I didn't even really want to fit in with. But I think my biggest regret is that in spite of all of the things I personally accomplished, the entire time I was comparing myself to someone else. I'll give you a classic example. I married a man who is a Guinness World Record-setting adventurer. He's the first person in history to ever circle the entire planet just using the power of his body. So he pedaled this little tiny boat across the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Indian Ocean. He biked up the Himalayas. He kayaked around Australia. He was attacked by crocodiles, pirates. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. He's a movie in the making. When I met him, he was rollerblading across the United States. He's never even rollerbladed before that. And he was hit in my hometown by a drunk driver who broke both his legs. Well, most people would say, okay, I'm done with this. But not my husband. He rehabilitated, got back on his roller skates, and finished his journey. So when he asked me to accompany him on a human-powered circumnavigation of the country of Wales in Great Britain, at first I thought, oh my God, what a great opportunity. Oh, it's supposed to have beautiful coasts and beautiful scenery and diverse wildlife, and I've heard the people are great. And then that voice kicked in inside my head, and I started seeing and imagining adversity. Oh God, I don't swim. I am scared to death of water. I can't get in that little boat. I know what'll happen. I'll die. I'll do something wrong. I'll flip it over. I don't know what I'm doing. And I haven't ridden a bike since I was 10. I wouldn't even know how to shift. How do I even shift a bike? I'll have to carry a pack. How am I going to do that? Oh, and the biggie that all women will understand. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to wear a swimming suit and people will see my body. But then I read a quote by one of my favorite people, one of the most intelligent humans that have ever lived, Albert Einstein. And Albert Einstein said, everyone is a genius. He didn't say everyone but you or everyone but me. Albert Einstein said everyone is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its entire life believing that it's stupid. And I realized I was that fish. I was denying myself an opportunity to go on this expedition because I was trying to be like my husband, and I knew I wasn't. So I decided I'm going on that expedition, but I'm going to do it on my terms. I'm going to do it honestly, and I'm going to tell everybody, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I don't know how to use this bike. I'm scared to death of the water, and hopefully maybe it would inspire someone. And that's what I did. I'm going to show you a piece of video, but I want to explain it. There was a portion of the expedition where we hiked up the Black Mountains, across the Black Mountains, and down the Black Mountains. And I have a very bad back. I can't carry any weight on my back. And so basically what I did was, rather than use a backpack like Jason, I used my bike cart and I rigged it up with some poles and I pulled it across the mountains.
Yeah, I'm actually feeling a muscle in the back of my leg that I never knew I had. Like after 58 years, you want me to work now?
Well, I'm very proud to say I completed that adventure. And I did it on my own terms. I didn't pretend I was Jason. I was just me. And there were some difficult points and there were some miraculous points. And all of that opportunity that I saw in the beginning, meeting amazing people, helping wildlife, seeing beautiful scenery, it all came true. And I was me. I spoke earlier about how we are all a unique seed of the universe. And I really want you to think about that. I really, really want you to, because nature is just born with that urge, and nature just grows. Those seeds, they don't care what's above the ground. They have the luxury of not having that inner voice. They have the passion, but no inner voice. And imagine what you could do if you had your passion and you could turn that inner voice off. So I want you to think of yourself as a seed. And, you know, they're not very pretty. You may feel like this seed. You may feel plain. You may feel ugly. You may feel small and insignificant. And as you go through your life, you may feel under pressure, and you may feel like you are in a dark, dark, lonely place, and you don't know what's ahead of you, or what's behind you, or which way to turn. You don't know what it is you want to do. You're just confused. You're waiting for your life to begin, or you're wishing that your life was over. But I promise you, if you nurture that passion inside you, and you nurture that belief in yourself, just like you would nurture a seed. Don't listen to those voices in your head. Don't listen to other people. Don't compare yourself to anyone. And if you do that, you will grow into who you were meant to be. And people will come into your presence and they will see your uniqueness, your beauty, your energy, and they will be better for coming into your presence. And the beauty of it all is that simply by being you, the world will be a better place.
This was so refreshing and ravishing to know about the opportunity that's with us already and how we can take care for it. It was an incredible talk, ma'am. Now we are having a very interesting speaker whose name is Mr. Andrew Speed. Hey everyone! Now I would like to quote Helen Keller. Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of overcoming of it. You know what, audience? It's all about the mindset. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our next speaker, who is the former stage manager at National Theatre of Great Britain. He has worked with Sir Tom Stoppard, Sir David Hare, Sir Arthur Miller, and many other amazing personalities on numerous world premieres and plays. Ladies and gentlemen, give a great round of applause for Mr. Andrew Speed.
When our lives are in harmony, at work, home, and in our inner being, the world seems to work like clockwork. Tick-tock, tick-tock, and then suddenly something throws it off kilter. Tock-tick. And in the case of the recent pandemic, the clock can stop altogether. In that moment of adversity, we have to reassess our situation, our environment, our practices, both at work and in our personal lives, in order to seek a new way forward out of these unexpected circumstances. The initial dread and fear leads to an adrenaline rush, a sharpening of thought, a focus, and a heightening of awareness. A bit like when the car you're in is hit by another, and as it turns, everything seems to go into slow motion. But in your brain, the thoughts that are rushing, survival, more thoughts than you thought possible in such a short space of time. Adversity means the terror is no longer firmer. Everything just shifted. We find ourselves in unknown territory, and after the initial clenching of the cheeks, we wake up, heighten our thoughts, and work to find a way through. The recent pandemic has taught us that routine can be disrupted at a moment's notice and for considerable lengths of time. It can lead to unemployment, even for those who have worked a lifetime in a particular industry. The travel, entertainment and hospitality sectors were particularly bad hit. There were mass redundancies. However, the people in these industries are some of the most resilient and creative of our society. I know workers who were in the theatre. One went off and made a pop-up coffee stall in a market. Another did a similar thing, but with cheese toasties. These have really blossomed, And they both now have leases on permanent properties, and they have bona fide and sustainable new employment. But better than that, their own companies. Some went back into medicine and law and even charity management. Everyone has to find a way. Change causes us to look around and take stock. Back in 1959, Senator John F. Kennedy, later to be President JFK, he said that the Chinese word for crisis was made up of 2 pictograms. One for the word danger, and the second for the word opportunity. This was in fact a bit of a mistranslation, but I think through history we've sort of endorsed that view that when one door closes, another one opens. I mean, a prime example of opportunity in adversity emerged during the carnage of the Second World War. Now, wars are never good. However, good things can come out of them. I mean, because of the accelerated engineering and medical efforts during that conflict, I mean, how much longer would it have taken mankind to come up with the atomic energy, with jet engines? I mean, how long would it have taken them to put a man on the moon? And look at all the medical advances. I mean, these are really positive innovations for humanity. Even the adversity of confinement in prison can be turned to one's favour. I mean, some of the world's greatest leaders have found themselves at some stage of their lives imprisoned. Now, they've used this situation to stiffen their resolve and to plan for the future, rallying support for the cause, and also to build their mental fortitude, but also their resilience. And with positivity, they don't waver. We can all have these qualities. What we have to do is, when it hits the fan, not to run around like headless chickens, but to accept the situation, accept the challenge, set goals and resolve to strive for them. Persistence, persistence, persistence. Never say die. Adversity brings with it the need to strive for a future. Without it, we can become more creatively, collectively creative. Even more important, as an individual, we have to harness our positivity. We have to also hold on to humour, because with positivity and humour, these will be our life rafts that will get us through the rough waters. Amazing, life-changing things can happen. The fact that I'm standing here now, delivering this chat to you, is one example. I was a company and stage manager at a world-renowned theatre for 30 years. The pandemic stripped me of that. I worked with some of the greats, some of the best playwrights in the English-speaking world, some of the greatest actors, and then suddenly I had a comfortable life, but it was snuffed out. But I did go through it, and I know some of the people watching this will have been far worse than I. But I did suffer mentally. I went into a decline. I went into depression. But I then began to grasp and view my situation. And I thought, if I wallow in this, I'm finished. So with those rules that I said earlier, those tools, I gradually chiseled my way out of the black tunnel I'd found myself in, and came out. And suddenly the phone rang and they said, "Hi, we want to open the theatres again. Would you go and do it round Britain?" Small theatres, getting the whole thing going again. And the joy it was to get back out, break out of that dark prison and go and work again. I cannot tell you. Now, I just want to give this message. If you find yourself sinking, the only way you can get out of it is by acceptance and then finding a way out. Push back, and up, and up. And in the words of the poet whose play we took round, T.S. Eliot, this is not farewell, but fare forward.
Absolutely true. We are all driven by time, whether it is good or bad. It is on us how we create opportunity out of it. Thank you so much, sir. It was an amazing talk. Let's move on to another jaw-dropping performance by Team Kalarpan.
दिलकशी के जो रंग है तेरे दोस्ती के जो रंग है मेरे इन्हीं रंगों में छुपे सारे खुशी के रंग है देखो ना ये हल्के गहरे गहरे हल्के जिंदगी के गीत है ना लाइफ इज क्रेजी ये रंग बिरंग ना लाइफ इज क्रेजी कहती है उमंग ना लाइफ इज क्रेजी ये रंग बिरंग ना लाइफ इज क्रेजी कहती है उमंग आसमां है नीला क्यों पानी गीला गीला क्यों गोल क्यों है ज़मीन सिल्क में है नरमी क्यों आग में है गर्मी क्यों दो पाँच क्यों नहीं पेड़ हो गए कब क्यों तीन है ये मौसम क्यों चांद दो क्यों नहीं दुनिया में है जंग क्यों बहता लाल रंग क्यों सरहदें है क्यों हर कहीं सोचा है सोचा है सोचा नहीं सोचा
तुम हो तो गाता है दिल तुम नहीं तो गीत कहाँ तुम हो तो है सब हासिल तुम नहीं तो क्या है तुम हो तो है सपनों के जैसा हंसी एक जो तुम हो तो ये लगता है कि मिल गई हर खुशी जो तुम ना हो ये लगता है कि हर खुशी में है तुमको है मांगती ये जिंदगी
Absolutely. What a phenomenal performance it was. We are now going towards our last segment of the event and end signals new beginning and create opportunities in all the other ways. Thanks to all the speakers. Now I would like to convey my regards on behalf of entire TEDxGECA team to our Dean of the College, Dr. U.J. Kahalekar sir, event management team and college authorities for supporting us throughout. And special regards to entire TEDxGECA core committee members and organizers, and most importantly, you, our lovely audience, to make this event super successful. Thank you so much.
IMS, Empowering the Youth to Lead Businesses. Comprehensive programs for MBA. Get the unfair advantage with IMS. 5 CAT 100 percentiles in 2020 are from IMS. IMS, Empowering the Youth to Learn Beyond Boundaries. The world is waiting, keep your passport ready. Up to 80% scholarship and admit guarantee programs, for GMAT and GRE. Our successful MBA, and MIM admits, at Global B schools. IMS, Empowering the Youth of India, since 1977. IMS, trusted for success.